All right, well, we're talking about video games today, and I have 10 interesting video game facts.
Oh, wow.
Now, what I should do, if you've been a fan of the show, you may remember our game where we say, interestingly.
Oh, no.
It's a supper-time game where you say interestingly, and then you follow it up
Make something
with
up.
a ridiculous thing that is not true at all. But you say it in a British accent, so it makes it seem like it is true.
What if you have a British accent? Is it as fun?
I don't know. That's a good question.
If anyone here has a British accent, can you confirm if this is still fun doing it in your normal voice?
Yeah. Inquiring minds want to know.
By the way, Nick Atkins, good to see you. He's quite the video game guru. In fact,
he's been a big Zelda fan.
Good to see you.
And that also is one of my favorites. That actually is a fact that didn't make the list, but I learned today, is that Zelda, the character Link in The Legend of Zelda, was modeled after Peter Pan.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Huh.
So,
does that make sense to you, knowing anything about it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it does.
Nice.
Okay, so the first little interesting fact. Interestingly, in 1972, Magnavox offered the first home video game system dubbed the Odyssey. It was very limited. It could only produce very simple graphics and required that custom plastic overlays be taped over the TV screen.
What?
I didn't know that.
That is crazy.
That's old school, right there.
Because they didn't have the technology to do all the graphics.
Yeah.
So you had to add graphics.
Isn't that like what video games were?
Oh my
When
gosh.
that's just get out the Crayolas and make your own video game.
Hilarious.
Glue it to the TV. I like that. Here's another one. Nolan Bushnell and Ted Dabney started Atari with just $500.
Whoa.
$500. Within 5 years, the company had earned $28 million, and by 1982, sales topped $2 billion.
Oh.
That is what the kids call a good return on investment.
That's what I'm talking about.
Interesting, right?
Interesting.
Okay,
yes.
this
and
is...
Paul says the Brits just use an American accent. So that's a good
Interesting.
point.
Interestingly.
love
Okay,
that.
this is going to blow your mind. In addition to starting Atari, Nolan Bushnell, who's the guy in the tie right next to the Pong game there,
Okay.
he also founded the popular pizza and entertainment company Chuck E. Cheese.
What? That's epic.
Atari and Chuck E. Cheese. That's a good...
That actually goes
It's a good track
together.
record, right?
Wow. That is...
The picture here is a little creepy to me.
Yeah,
I don't know, anybody?
as is all Chuck E. Cheese memories. But
Holy nightmare.
we almost celebrated every childhood birthday at a Chuck E. Cheese as a family. The six of
Really?
us. Uh-huh.
I
You did not know that.
married for 21 years, almost.
On our
Learning
trips
new
to
things
Chicago,
about you.
we would come
You're
back.
just a delight.
Aw, see?
Yeah, tell me more about yourself. What's your middle name again?
Cheese.
All right. Now, sticking at the Atari 2600, that was the first video game system that we had in our home. It was introduced in 1977 as the Atari Video Computer System, VCS, and used removable cartridges, allowing a multitude of games to be played using the same hardware. So a lot of people of a certain age
Memory,
will remember
yeah.
that. You may also remember you had to blow into the cartridge as some
dust would
get
make
dust
it
in there,
jack
and
up.
it may or may not have actually worked.
But that's what you did. That's,
how about
that's
this
how it worked.
from Helen?
Yeah.
Chuck E. Cheese is a kid's gateway into casinos.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Especially with the stage
That's a
entertainment,
good-
right? Like the Vegas. If that's what you want to call stage entertainment.
Yeah. So someone here, a couple people mentioned Space Invaders, which is one of my favorites. So in Space Invaders, if you didn't know this, the more aliens you kill, the faster they come at you. This pattern of the game getting more challenging the more you play has become a staple in the gaming world, but it actually started as a fluke.
Oh.
Get this. The aliens were always supposed to come at you at the same speed, but with so many aliens on the screen, the hardware couldn't handle it, so they were slowed down. The more aliens you killed as you played, the more system memory was freed up, so the game ended up running faster.
Oh, interesting.
How about that?
Interestingly.
How about that?
Wow.
Very good, right? All right. Here's another good one. This game was also mentioned. I'm going to see if you can guess this one, Kim. So arcades in the late 1970s and 80s were dark, masculine places full of space shooting games inspired by the success
Holy nightmare.
of Space Invaders. Toru Iwatani,
Okay.
that's how you say his name, Japanese, began thinking about a concept which ran counter to those games. There were no games that everyone could enjoy, and especially none for women. I wanted to come up with a comical game women could enjoy.
Comical.
So this is early 80s.
Okay.
This game that he came up with was called Pac-Man.
Oh, yes.
Pac-Man. Very different than any of the other games
Yeah.
when they came out at the time.
Universally beloved, by the way, as, your shirt indicates.
Very much so.
Right.
Very much so.
Yeah.
I did not know this. Nintendo, that came out 1985.
Okay.
Was the first to introduce the idea of using a pad controller instead of a joystick. So that's kind of cool. Now, the modern games have passed me by because there's too many buttons for me. I can't keep track of all that. Now here's a cool little life lesson, folks. When you feel like you are not experienced in a particular field, have no fear. That might be your advantage. As Paul said in reference to Space Invaders, but applies here. Not a bug, a feature.
Yes. Just shift it.
So
right?
Shigeru Miyamoto was a graphic artist who had never designed a video game in his life. He got hired by Nintendo, and his approach was an artistic one. The games he designed were so different from everything else simply because he didn't really know what he wasn't supposed to do.
Love it.
So he was the one who created Legend of Zelda, and he also created Super Mario Brothers.
Really?
However, his first game, I don't think anyone mentioned this one yet in the comments. I haven't seen it, but his first game was supposed to be based on the Popeye love triangle.
Oh.
So you got Popeye, Bluto, and
Bluto?
and olive oil.
Okay.
Yes, Bluto.
Oh, Pluto's from
That's Disney.
So
So the Nintendo wanted to get the license for Popeye, couldn't get it.
okay.
So he basically swapped out characters, and Bluto became a giant gorilla. Popeye, the Sailor Man, became Jumpman.
Interesting.
And he was a carpenter, leaping barrels and scaling his construction site to rescue Olive Oil, a.k.a. Lady. The game was titled Donkey Kong.
Jody
Nailed it.
Yeah.
And became a runaway success. So,
wow.
that was supposed to be a Popeye game, believe it or not.
Oh my gosh.
And what's cool about that is you might recognize that little carpenter dude down there. That's Mario right there.
Wow. And that was that before or after Mario? Mario...
This was first.
Okay.
So he designed Mario to be interchangeable in different games. And actually in Donkey Kong 2, I had read that Mario was like a villain in that one. So he's kind of designed to be a character that went back and forth. But he didn't actually have a name at a certain point. Apparently the people in Nintendo's warehouses referred to him as Mario after the landlord because he would always come asking for rent. And so they started calling him Mario. And,
oh my gosh, that's so funny.
And Miyamoto was like, I like that. I think I'm going to go with that.
Kathy Rose is wondering if it was Brutus.
That
does sound
is a good
more
question.
Correct,
the thing I had said Bluto, but we'll put that up. What do you guys think? Was it Bluto or was it Brutus?
Something about Bluto doesn't seem right.
It doesn't sound right either,
Yeah.
but that's what it was in the article.
Okay.
So it was a B. It was a B. It was a big guy with the mustache.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
About.
So a couple more. This was kind of neat. Miyamoto designed his little carpenter. He had constrictions, right? So we've talked in the past, especially in the Let's Draw segment, that sometimes when you have too many options, it's actually really hard to be creative. You're better off having some walls put up around you. And he did. He had this 8-bit thing where they could only have graphics that only had so many pixels, for lack of a better word. And so his carpenter basically was designed with this to be practical. So overalls made his arms more visible. Thick mustache showed up better than a mouth and accented his bulbous nose. Bright colors popped against the dark backgrounds. And he wore a hat, so Miyamoto could skip designing a hairstyle, not his favorite task, and to save programmers from animating it during jumps.
Wow, that's so funny.
Necessity is the mother of invention.
Right? First of all, before you go up to Jill's, this is a really fun comment.
Where? Right here?
Yes.
Okay, Jill. Had a Nintendo that in the end needed a Barbie shoe wedge in to keep the cartridge to playing the games. That's
Everybody's got that.
Heck yes, I did.
Something in your house that's
pretty
like
good.
it only works because of this this odd thing that we have to do. So
okay. Well, here we
Awesome,
go.
Jill.
Jenna is on it here. Brutus, after the theatrical
Snopes.
Popeye cartoon series ceased production in 1957, Bluto's name was changed to Brutus because it was incorrectly believed that Paramount Pictures distributors of the Fleischer Studios, later Famous Studios cartoons, owned the rights to the name Bluto. So it was Bluto at a time, and then it got changed to Brutus.
Interesting.
So there you go. Now
Right.
you know stuff. And finally, last bit here, that I mentioned that Mario was a carpenter at first, and they ultimately changed his profession to plumber to match the green pipes and sewer settings of the Mario Brothers franchise.
Interesting.
6 out of the top 10 best-selling video games of all time are Mario games.
This does not
So
surprise
he's
me.
he's the one that and actually some website claimed that he's actually more well known around the world than Mickey Mouse, which I find hard to believe, but I suppose is possible.
Yeah, that's interesting. I used to have a Mario shirt. I dug around the closet. I think that ship has sailed. But you remember that? That was one of my favorite little shirts.
Which one?
Mario shirt.
Yes.
It's like a little,
yeah, that's a good one.
it was oldie but
So
goodie.
we hope you enjoyed this trip down memory lane in our time machine.